All right. We're in it to win it, everyone.
Are we?
We are.
What do we win?
All right, so we're on to do the final route, which I am led to believe leads directly into the true end.
I see. So the next two are one after the other.
Yes. So to get some recap, this is way back in like the first route we played, where Russia got their hands on the time machine and changed the world line. Okabe shifted it back.
Mm-hmm.
They visited Fubuki in the hospital, right?
Yeah.
And then Okabe and Maho went on a date. And now we're here in Daru's secret hideout.
We're in Daru's man cave.
Yes. And to get this, the route, according to the guide, you can still get this route whenever, but it won't lead to the true end unless we've done the other stuff. So we are going to ignore this call from Amadeus.
I see.
Huh? It's from Kurisu.
Also, just so everybody knows why all the characters sound different that I voice all of a sudden, I have a stupid dental appliance in this week. So.
I wasn't going to mention it, but
I'm going to.
Okay. I wasn't going to throw you under the bus, but if you want to bring it up, that's up to you.
Yeah, I'm going to lay under the bus voluntarily. So if I can't pronounce the letter S or T, that's why.
Just roll with it. Our
Yeah.
dental hygiene is always going to be more important than getting the voices accurate. Maho looked troubled. I didn't want Kurisu hearing this either. Oh, right, I'm going back to Sad Sack, Okabe, rather than Hououin Kyoma. I didn't know what to do, and then I remembered. The world line where I'd spent a month during wartime. I remembered the Amadeus Kurisu was being used by the US military there. I still didn't know what that meant. I stared at my phone screen. Should I answer it, or should I talk to Daru first?
I was really surprised to see you two knew each other, though. I wasn't sure what to say when I saw you together at May Queen. Well, I figured it out quick, though. You both knew Kurisu Makise. But Maho-tan, you said you weren't going to tell Okarin about this. Did you change your mind?
It'd be more accurate to say that he figured it out himself.
Oh, I see.
Because he has Kurisu's PC.
Yeah.
Or laptop. Daru nodded and grabbed some snacks off the table to gobble down. I put the smartphone back in my pocket.
So on the other route, we answered the phone, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because we were doing maximal Kurisu. For now, I needed to focus on talking to Daru.
So, what did you want to talk about?
You know what I wanted to talk about. I'm here with Hyajo. Show me the laptop and the hard drive that Kurisu left behind.
Did you figure out the password?
I have no idea.
What do you mean?
I'm trying to tell you one simple thing. Stop trying to analyze that laptop right now. There may be something lurking within it so terrible that will plunge the entire world into chaos. Oh, also, Suzuha pulled a gun on us in this route. Because after we got back from the Russia timeline, she was like, did the world line shift? What happened? I need you to do... Yeah, like, I'm done fucking around. Get in the goddamn time machine. We're doing this.
Yeah.
Hey, are you listening to me?
Get a grip, dude.
So you're one of those types, huh?
No! I'm being serious. This isn't about Hououin Kyoma.
Get a grip, dude.
I have a grip. I slammed my hand down onto the table. The shock was enough to cause one of the empty cans on the table to fall to the floor. Listen to me, okay? This involves Suzuha.
Suzuha?
You know what Suzuha's job is, right? Nakabachi's paper. That was enough for Daru to understand.
Seriously?
I've been serious the whole damn time, Daru.
I see. Well, I'd more or less assumed that was the case.
Oh, hold on. We're getting a close-up of the stuff on his desk now. Is that a Mayuri?
Where? Which one?
The one kind of with the hat and like... Oh, the skirt isn't quite right. Yeah, that one on the right looks like it has Monica hair, but it's definitely not Monica because this came out definitely before DDLC. The one in the middle, I can't reckon. Is that one of Miku? The one making the angle brackets expression?
I don't. Doesn't look like Miku hair.
Yeah, it's got because it's also like a darkish color and stuff, and like. Ah well. Can't wait to have a nice can of. I can't read it. Daru didn't say another word. He opened a locked fire-resistant case that was sitting on one of the racks. There was a laptop and a hard drive hidden within. That's it. The laptop was a deep red Japanese model with a 12-inch LCD screen. The hard drive was American, from a brand known for equipping its drives with a shock-resistant rubber case. The laptop and hard drive that Kurisu left behind. Just to double check, you were not able to break security on that, correct?
Well, you know how it is. No hacker can get through my software.
Don't do anything else with it.
I've been paid already, though.
He looked apologetically towards Maho. She was glaring at me.
I asked this before, but what exactly are you hiding when it comes to Kurisu?
Trying to learn the truth isn't always the answer.
Well, that's just what you think. You won't even give me the information I need to make that choice.
It's dangerous. You do know we were just attacked, right?
I don't want to be a coward who just hides behind her knight in shining armor. I'm a scientist. I don't want to give up on trying to reach the truth, no matter how dangerous that might be.
You just don't understand.
If Kurisu was here, she'd probably say the same thing now, wouldn't she?
Ugh. I was startled. Maho was right. Destroying the history based on the rule of the time, space, and it, and achieving a complete utopia by committee, including the future from the past and other worlds, will become the significance of existence absurd for the 21st century. It was named Z Program so that the actual experiment plan might enable the change in a flexible plan name. Moreover, for the security protection, it is prohibited to put a meaning or passionate some spirits in the name. It is because it is guessed to give the disadvantage to the program pursuer. Strictly confidential.
I see.
Highly important background detail. I remembered having the same conversation with Kurisu. It was when we were looking into CERN, I believe.
You're gonna have to tell her, man.
Daru!
Mahotan doesn't look like anything you say is gonna convince her.
Yeah, it's really not.
And it's probably more dangerous to be involved and not know what the deal is, right? Only if what you're saying is true, though.
Daru had a point. At this rate, Maho could very well get herself in deep trouble without realizing what she had done. Just the fact that she was carrying Kurisu's belongings made her a part of the Third World War, but she had no idea. That computer wasn't just something to remember an old friend by anymore. It was at the center of an international power struggle. Russian-speaking arsonists had forced their way into Kurisu's home in America. Afterward, a mysterious men claiming to be in the FBI had searched Dr. Leskinen's lab. This whole thing was on the verge of exploding. And people like me were nothing in the face of a war between nations. It'll mean telling her about Suzuha. Are you alright with that, Daru?
We don't have a choice, do we?
I turned back toward Maho. Hyajo, can you promise me one thing? You're a scientist, and I believe you're a very logical person. Please, do not let your emotions lead you into doing something stupid. Don't do anything rash. Don't be like I once was. What I'm about to tell you is hard to believe. You may think it's impossible, but it is true. So,
Get to the fucking point. Jesus, what is it you want me to promise?
Don't get any ideas about saving Kurisu Makise.
What?
Her mouth hung open, like she didn't understand what she had just heard.
Save? Kurisu?
If you cannot promise me that, I won't tell you anything. So, what'll it be?
You know, it's really it's actually completely unacceptable to ask someone to pre-promise their emotional reaction to information that they haven't heard, right? Heard that from a guy once. Really great at D&D. Does that mean it's possible I could save her?
You may think so, but I'm telling you right now, there isn't a way.
What did I just say? I can't give you any answer until I've been given the information I need to decide. Tell me everything.
I took a deep breath and began to tell her the story. I told her about the time machine, about Suzuha, and about the Third World War, and about the relationship between Kurisu and Dr. Nakabachi. And that was what was supposedly Dr. Nakabachi's theory was actually based off of Kurisu's writings. I told her that the original copy of Kurisu's work might be hidden on her laptop or hard drive. And I told her that Russia and America might be fighting over it. As for how Kurisu died, I decided to skip that part. Maho was silent the whole time I spoke, with a confused expression on her face. She looked like a girl who just graduated to middle school and who was staring at a string of equations on a blackboard that were nothing like she had ever seen before. Her expression didn't change even when I finished.
Is this true? It's not made up.
Maho was asking Daru, not me.
Yeah?
You can't bring yourself to believe it?
That's not it. It's just so different from what I was expecting that I'm having a hard time processing it.
What were you expecting?
I thought it might be about using Amadeus for military purposes.
Military purposes?
Well, I mean, Kurisu spent a lot of time at the psychophysiology lab. She said sometimes that she'd be visited by people who looked like they didn't belong there at all. Said they thought they were from the Department of Defense.
Russia, the FBI, and now the United States Department of Defense? This was getting even more suspicious. Can Amadeus kill someone? If so, how?
Well, I mean, for example, you could take the memories of a veteran pilot and copy them and use them to control drones. Remember what I said about medical applications?
You mean copying memory data back into the brain?
Yep.
Which we know does actually work. At least in the future it will work. But as for the first one, as we've learned long ago, you could just get people you could just conscript people who like playing video games. Tell them it's a game, let them go pilot some drones.
If you could alter memory data, then send it back to the brain, you could make soldiers who didn't feel fear, or could carry out any kind of unethical mission without hesitation.
Wow. Sounds like a Hollywood movie.
Did this mean reality had caught up to books and movies?
My thought was that Kurisu had found proof that they were running experiments like that.
And that's why they went after her?
Yeah.
Maho picked up the laptop. Its red body was evidently made out of some kind of magnesium alloy, and it was a lot lighter than it looked.
I never expected a time machine, though.
Nobody expects the time machine.
No one expects it, Maho. Either way, we should destroy it immediately.
without looking to see what's inside? We don't know for sure that it's God what you're talking about.
It doesn't matter what's inside of it. As long as it still exists, it could start a war. She still didn't seem satisfied.
But it's proof that Kurisu was alive once. It's what she left to us. We can't just get rid of it.
If you learn what's inside of it, they might come after you next.
That's true, but
If this wasn't working, maybe I needed to try another approach. Surely you asked Kurisu about the password, right?
Huh?
Amadeus.
I mean, of course, that was the first thing I tried.
But it didn't work, right? Maho nodded. That's strange, isn't it? Normally she would know. But the Amadeus Kurisu didn't know what it was. There's only one possibility then. Kurisu herself changed the password, without Amadeus knowing.
What?
Why do you think she did that? Isn't it because she didn't want anyone knowing what it was? Let's not dig up the graves of the dead, alright?
Dig up her grave? It's not like that. I'm sorry. You're right. Maybe I'm getting a bit too obsessed with Kurisu.
I know that you really care about her. But you shouldn't get involved with this. This might not be Pandora's box. It might just be the gate to hell.
Get a grip, dude.
Would you stop? Maho hugged the laptop tightly to her chest and sighed.
All right. All right, Okabe. I understand what's going on. I still haven't finished getting it all straight in my head, though. I'll get rid of this laptop.
Thank you. I was so glad that she understood. You really are amazing.
How do you figure that?
A normal person would just refuse to accept all this, or even if they didn't, they'd ask a ton of questions.
You're giving me a bit too much credit here. Usually I wouldn't even bother refuting this. I just wouldn't even listen. Normally a scientist should never deny any possibility, no matter how improbable, but we have a tendency to put too much faith in common sense and our own theories.
Then why is it different this time?
Because Kurisu Makise is involved.
Maho's smile was bitter.
Time travel theory? A time leap machine? You're joking. That's impossible. But it wouldn't be impossible for Kurisu. She's always been the one who proved that everything I thought I knew was wrong.
I see. That's right. Her Amadeus login ID was Salieri. I almost said that, but stopped myself. Seemed to me like that ID held some kind of gloomy meaning to her as a scientist.
So, what about my pay? I've actually already used all the money Mahotan gave me to reserve this month's H Games.
A sound investment. You are terrible.
That's what I do this job for.
It's fine. I won't ask for my money back. I didn't expect much when I asked you anyway.
Just so we're clear, another 3 days and I would have cracked the password. Totes serious.
Sure, buddy. Whatever you say.
Maho smiled and turned back to me.
By the way, I do want to see proof of this.
Proof?
You've got it somewhere, right? This time machine. And I'd like to talk to Suzuha as well.
Well, I don't know about that. Daru had agreed to it, but still I'd told Maho about the time machine without asking Suzuha. We'd just gotten into a fight, and I really didn't want to bring this up with her.
She just pulled a gun on him last time.
But even showing Maho the time machine would mean I need to get Suzuha's permission, and that made it difficult. Daru, why won't you talk to Suzuha for me instead? Before I could finish my sentence, the intercom on the desk beeped.
What is it? I'm busy now.
His tone was the same as ever, but I didn't miss the sudden flash of tension across Daru's face. I've got a bad feeling about this.
Hello? Is something wrong?
Daru flipped through several channels on the security monitor as he continued to talk on the phone.
Hold on. Oh, that's a very good... Oh, look, I love that.
Everybody figuring out what was on Kurisu's laptop.
All at the same time.
Ugh.
It's... I'm gonna be honest. Didn't take her for a furry. Not that there's anything wrong with that, just didn't expect it, that's all.
Expected to find time machine schematics or Department of Defense secrets. Instead, just find 20 terabytes of fan fiction.
Terabytes of fan fiction. 20 terabytes of artwork is one thing. 20 terabytes of fan fiction, that's... Do you realize how much writing that is? That's like... God. I don't think any one person has written that much in their entire life.
All 6 monitors had been displaying the interior of the store, but now they showed the entrance to the building, the emergency exit, the corridors, the elevator hall, and the emergency stairs. She had cameras not just inside the building, but outside it as well. This was no time to be impressed. The images were covered in white, snowy static.
Right, because he's in a like a low-grade cosplay shop that he rents out the back room of.
Yeah.
Right, so...
But I could see strange figures on the screens. Who are these guys? The entrance to the building, the 1st floor elevator hall, the 7th floor elevator hall, the 7th floor emergency stairs, and in front of the cosplay shop. There'd been nothing there a moment ago, but now there were 4 men standing in each of those 5 places. They were silent. They did not speak to one another. There were around 20 of them in all. Some were wearing suits, other typical Akihabara fashions, yet others were wearing military camo. Individually, none of them would really stand out in Akihabara, but the fact that so many people had all come to this lonely building at once seemed terrifying.
Okie dokie, I'm abandoning this location. You bail out when you get a chance too. See you.
Evidently, he'd been talking to the man at the front counter. Put down the intercom and looked at us.
So yeah, we're getting out of here.
What? Well, rip to the large H-game collection, I suppose. You know, as disgusting as I find it, I gotta admit, just looking at, like, the shelves, that's an impressive dedication to one medium. Like, again, not my cup of tea, but I gotta respect the grind on that. This is like a small museum's worth. Like, you could have, like, a history made out of all these. Anyway. What?
Daru pulled out a backpack and began tossing hard drives, memory cards, and other pieces of equipment into it.
I'll take that laptop too, please.
Maho stood there, blinking as she handed him Kurisu's laptop and hard drive. Who are those people?
After Kurisu's PC?
Couldn't say. I cause a lot of trouble. This has happened before. Well, that's why I keep this job a secret.
Seriously, Daru? Daru took the laptop and hard drive from Maho, threw them into the backpack, and slid it onto his back. How are we getting out of here anyway? They're standing right outside the door.
It's a shame, because I liked this place. Finally time to say goodbye, huh?
Despite his tone, his expression was still serious. He walked to the corner of the room. There was a life-size poster of a golden-haired Vocalo stuck to the wall. Golden-haired...
Fucking... Is there a specific Vocaloid that would be, or just... any?
Could be Rin and Lan. They're blonde.
I'm trying to think of, like, what Vocaloids were around circa 2010, 2011. Was
I don't know.
Miku even a thing back then?
I don't know.
I
It's
don't
a
remember
mystery.
when... The earliest one I know is Megarine Luca.
Excuse me, Rintan.
It
It
Jar-
was!
What, it was Megarine?
No,
Oh,
it was Rin.
Reen, just Reen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Daru carefully took the poster off of the wall, making sure not to damage it. There was a glass door hidden behind it, which led out onto a concrete veranda.
This way.
Wait, that was how he was going to escape? But this was the 7th floor, right? It wasn't time to worry about it. Daru went out to the veranda without bothering to wait for us. I pushed Maho forward and urged her to go ahead of me. The veranda was filled with junk, just like the inside. The floor was covered with old PCs and monitors, as well as old arcade games that were clearly broken. There was barely any place to stand. That meant as long as you ducked down a little, there was probably no way you could be seen from outside. Maybe he'd set this up deliberately so he could use it in case of an emergency. From there, we escaped like we were in a spy movie. Moved the board that connected this veranda to the next one. Moved down the room at the edge of the building, and used the emergency ladder to get to the 2nd floor. It was an empty space that Daru had rented with some of his acquaintances, and we were able to use the bathroom to escape to an unused room in the next building.
Daru's adventures when he's not participating in the main storyline.
Right?
He's just done this.
Here's the thing, is that this is remarkably well thought out, right? Like, as much shit as we give Daru, and rightfully so, like, he understands the magnitude of the shit he's involved in.
Yeah.
And he has set up his escapes accordingly, right? He has taken this with all the seriousness it deserves
Yep.
for apparently the kind of jobs he does.
My blood ran cold when Daru got a call that the men in front of the cosplay shop had broken in. From there, we planned to escape from the next building's emergency exit. The emergency exit there led out onto a different alleyway than the one we'd originally come in. So in theory, they shouldn't have been able to find us, but we were naive. The narrow alleyway between buildings was dark and deserted. They were waiting for us there as if they'd known exactly where we were going.
Oh, fuck.
Hold on, that's a good background, Maho.
Background Maho.
Hey, oh. Wow.
What's she staring at this time? The motorcycle helmet just
Wow, that's such a cool helmet.
surprised Maho face. Oh.
And then there was no way for us to resist. They grabbed Daru and me, twisted our arms behind our backs, and slammed us to the ground. But it wasn't the group who had attacked us in the building. They were all wearing full face masks, motorcycle suits, and leather jackets. One of them, the girl holding down Maho, was clearly a woman. There was only one woman I knew who would attack us while dressed like that.
Don't yell. Do what we tell you.
Oh! I was right, I knew that voice. I could tell even with her helmet hiding her face.
Wait, interesting. So he thinks this is Moeka?
I think he thinks this is Kagari.
He thinks this is Kagari. Okay.
Wait,
Otherwise,
because this is way back in the first timeline, right?
yeah, I feel like in this timeline he didn't know who was in the suit.
Right. So maybe he does think it's Moeka. Huh.
And even that he recognizes the voice, which is strange
Yeah.
because I don't recall Moeka being involved in an attack on them like this.
Not in
We'll
this.
see.
No. Huh.
Otherwise, she's dead.
Wait, what?
She held Maho with her left arm and took out a military knife with her right. She put the knife up to Maho's throat.
Oh, wait.
Don't do it! The horrible memories came flooding back to me. Whether it had happened in a different world line or not, the merciless voice that had taken Mayuri from me was right here.
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
interesting. Wait, no. Interesting.
So he thinks it's Moeka, but he could be wrong. It could be that just the stress of the situation.
He's just misidentifying the
Yeah.
voice. Mayuri Shina is not needed.
Because I don't think he's met Kagari in this timeline. I gritted my teeth so hard it hurt and glared at the woman in the motorcycle suit. I'll give you what you want, so don't do it. I forced myself to speak, and the woman in the motorcycle suit took the knife away from Maho's neck. She handed her over to one of the other men, and then she took off her helmet. No, it is Moeka. Right, because he ran into Moeka at the very beginning of the game again.
You're so hot. I feel like in another timeline we could have been like really close. Like
Roommates, even.
roommates even.
By the way, I did follow up. Someone recommended a good piece of Moeka and Maho fanfiction. It was very adorable.
Excellent. I'm glad.
Yep. I'm glad someone out there was giving them the love they deserve. Moeka Kurisu. So it was you after all.
Where is it?
Her eyes were completely devoid of emotion, just like they were on August 13th. I was forced off the ground by one of the others, but my arm was still twisted upwards. I tried as hard as I could not to scream from the pain. First, please let go of my hand. I can't even talk like this. Moeka slightly nodded to the other men. The hand that was holding me drew back. I could finally move again. Daru was released too, and he stood up, mumbling something. But Maho was still in their hands.
I'll trade it for Dr. Hiacho.
Daru, please give me your backpack.
Oh, right.
Daru was about to take off his backpack.
Don't do it. Don't give it to her.
Hiajo, stay quiet. She will kill you. It is not just a threat.
But
Would Kurisu be happy if you died over her paper? Maho looked like a small child on the verge of tears.
To be fair, Maho's having a whole lot thrown at her all at once right now, ain't she?
Still glaring at Moeka, I took the laptop and hard drive out of the backpack. This is it right here.
Hand me the backpack, too.
Let Hiajo go first. She didn't respond. Fine, then. I'd have to bluff. If you want the password to decrypt it, then don't think about cheating us. Put the 2 items back in the backpack and handed it over to her. It was all I could do to keep my voice from quaking. Nobody can boot this thing up without the right password. Hackers all over the world have tried and failed. I'll tell you once our safety is guaranteed. I don't want to get killed the moment we hand it over. Of course, I had no clue what the password was. If they found that out, we were doomed. Daru was giving me a questioning glance. I ignored it. Keep your damn mouth shut, Daru.
You're right.
All right, she fell for it. That meant...
Then one of you is coming with me.
I'm sorry, what?
We'll let 2 of you go immediately. If the password is correct, we'll let the other one go as well.
God damn it, that's not good enough. No, we can't be sure the one who stays will be safe.
And then all 3 of you come with us.
Okabe, you're talking yourself into a worse deal.
Ugh, this woman! I could feel cold sweat on my back. I'd never been involved in a life or death deal before, and I had no idea what to do next.
Itaru Hashida, come this way.
What? Me?
We're told you're a specialist. Bring the backpack over here.
No,
If you come, we'll leave the other 2 here.
Wait! Then I'll go. That's fine, right?
My superiors told me nothing about you. I can't even say if you really know the password.
Right, because Okabe is just some guy.
God Damn it, she saw through me. Moeka put the knife back into Maho's neck.
Itaru Hashida, come quickly. I'd rather hear that line said in a more erotic situation.
Daru was joking, but his whole body was shaking. What do I do? They're going to kill Daru. I thought as fast and hard as I could, but nothing came to me. In this world line, Daru was going to live until 2036 and complete the time machine. That much was clear from Suzuha's testimony. If the world lines were going to converge, even if Moeka took Daru here, he wouldn't be killed. Right? No, but that didn't mean I could leave him here. One of the men with Moeka was looking at his watch. She noticed it too. They might have felt they were taking too much time with the kidnapping done in broad daylight. Hoped someone might wander by, but there was no counting on that stroke of luck. I needed to solve this myself instead of relying on others.
Do I need to kill someone first?
I felt a cold knife pressed hard against my carotid artery. Carotid?
I think so. Okarin.
No!
Daru and Maho was screaming, but suddenly it all seemed unreal. Like it was taking place in a distant world. They say that's what happens whenever someone is confronted with their own death, and it was happening to me now. I can't die either way, right? I tried asking myself that. I tried asking Suzuha even though she wasn't there. I tried asking the world. Of course, no one answered. The fact that I might not die didn't mean I could do something... didn't mean that I could do something stupid here. A normal college kid like me would be too scared to move once they had a knife to their neck. I'd seen people die many times, and I'd almost been killed, but I never did get used to it. Thoughts of Kurisu's blood came back into my mind, and I almost suffered a flashback. My body shook, and it was all I could do to keep from collapsing to the ground. There was nothing else I could do. Just when I was about to give up, a black van pulled up and braked hard at one end of the alley, blocking us in. The sliding door opened, and out poured men carrying assault rifles. I'm sorry, what? They were all wearing gray military uniforms and face masks. Their eyes were the eyes of trained soldiers. From their huge frames and the color of their skin, it was clear that they weren't Japanese. Immediately realized that this was all real. It wasn't cosplay or anything like that. Those guns were real and a battle was about to begin. My experience with August 13th attack and the war zone I'd lived in until only a few days ago came back to me. Everyone hide! Didn't matter who was friend or foe. Moeka moved the instant I spoke. She saw the attackers and jumped into the shadow of a nearby building. The other rounders spread out as well. They let go of Maho, who was standing up confused in the middle of the alley. Maho, get down! The man who was holding me was the only one who reacted a bit too slowly. There was a sharp noise, and a bullet went through the helmet of the rounder who was holding a knife to my throat. As he went down, I went down with him, and I hit the ground hard. Ah! The impact made me let go of Daru's backpack. One of the other rounders grabbed it off the ground and ran the opposite direction to the van. A man got out of the van, evidently the commander, and barked orders in what sounded like Russian. One of the soldiers turned their gun on the fleeing rounder. Ugh! Her body flew up off the ground as both she and the backpack were torn open. The contents of the backpack fell to the ground, scattering across the asphalt. The laptop and hard drive were hit with more gunfire than could possibly have been necessary. Kurisu's laptop and hard disk were turned to unrecognizable scrap in just a few seconds. I crawled behind a light pole without even bothering to look. It had all really happened in an instant. I looked around and the Russian soldiers were running toward us. Moeka and her rounders had vanished at some point, leaving only the two bodies. Soldiers silently recovered the remains of the laptop, the hard disk, picked up the bodies of the two rounders and got right back in their van. They didn't even pause to look at us. There were only a couple of minutes between the time when they arrived and when they left. All that were left were the little fragments lying on the ground. The blood from two bodies. Maho, who was lying on the ground shaking, and Daru, who was standing in shock behind one of the buildings, and me lying on the ground. My heart had been pounding the whole time. I only felt the pain in my neck after it was all over. Evidently, the knife had cut me a little when I'd fallen. A while later, we finally heard the sirens of a police car. And it was only then that I remembered I was in Akihabara, Japan. The Third World War may have started long ago, and we just didn't know it. I realized that in the face of a war between nations, we truly were powerless. Akihabara was in an uproar. There were lots of helicopters in the sky that probably belonged to the media. We escaped to the lab, making sure no one was following us. Hadn't been that long since we were attacked at the hotel. If the cops found us at the scene of another crime like that, they'd be suspicious for sure. So we ran before the police arrived. Suzuha wasn't at the lab. Maybe she'd sensed what was going on outside and went to check on the time machine. We held our breath and waited. Felt like if we let anyone know we were here, more scary people would burst down the door and charge in.
Hashida, do you have any towels here?
Yeah, in the washroom.
Maho nodded and brought a new towel from the washroom. She handed it to me.
Okabe, your neck is bleeding. Put this on it.
Huh? Oh. Thank you. My neck was wet with blood. Fortunately, it wasn't a deep wound, so it wasn't long before it stopped. After handing me the towel, Maho sat down right on the floor and did not move. I knew how she felt, especially since this was the second time she'd been attacked. And this time people had died right in front of her. Are you alright, Hyajo?
Yeah.
She nodded hesitantly, but her face was deathly pale. And I realized that she'd been clutching her left hand into a fist this whole time. There was blood coming out of it. Did you get hurt? Show me.
Huh? Oh.
Evidently, she hadn't noticed she'd been hurt. She was looking at her left hand, confused.
What?
What's wrong?
My fingers won't move. That's strange.
Maho had been holding some small fragment in her left hand. Her hand had frozen around it and wouldn't move, and soon it started to shake. I grabbed her hand and forced open her fingers one by one. Whatever it was, she'd been clutching it so tightly she'd cut off the blood flow to her fingers. They were very cold. When I finally forced her hand open, the thing she was holding fell to the floor. And what was it? I picked it up. Oh. It was a red piece of magnesium alloy. It's a piece of Kurisu's laptop. She must have grabbed it off the ground while she was running away. She held something so sharp tightly for so long, of course she was going to bleed. I returned it to Maho without a word. She took the broken fragment and cradled it in her hands, then stared at it with an empty expression. Suddenly, a single line of tears dripped down her cheek. After that, it didn't stop. She continued to sob.
Kurisu. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I couldn't protect you. I'm so sorry.
It was as if that tiny fragment was Kurisu herself. She held it to her chest and kept crying. Hyajo, I'm sure that Kurisu feels relieved.
What?
She's glad that you're safe. You don't need to apologize. There's nothing to apologize about. She didn't respond. Instead, a phone started to vibrate.
I thought that was my phone for a moment. Because my phone is like charging over there, and I thought like, wait, did I leave that on? Wait, I never put my phone on vibrate. What?
Instead, a phone started to vibrate.
Oh, it's mine.
Maho took out her cell phone and looked at the message she received.
It's from Dr. Leskinen. Huh?
What's wrong?
He says the office and hotels were ransacked. His and mine. They're a mess, he says.
I see. Whether it was the Rounders, the Russians, or whoever had first surrounded the cosplay shop, they must have been after Kurisu's laptop and hard drive. There is no backup of that computer's data, correct?
That's right.
Then this is for the best. What Kurisu left behind won't be used as a tool to kill billions of people. In the end, I got what I wanted. The data was destroyed before anyone got their hands on it. There was so little left, I was sure there would be no way to restore it.
Wait, why'd the Russians destroy that computer? Didn't they want to get their hands on it?
Russia's in the lead in the race for the time machine right now. From their perspective, it would be great if they could get the laptop, but they'd probably rather destroy it than let someone else get their hands on it, correct? They probably wanted to avoid a protracted gunfight with the Rounders in broad daylight in Japan. The cold way they made their decisions made me shiver. They really were professional soldiers. An amateur couldn't do that.
So, what do we do now?
I'd rather not stay here if I can avoid it. Resha might not know about this place, but Moeka might. If the Rounders were on the move, then Tennoji downstairs might be involved as well. We'll move at sunset. Would have been great if Suzuha had come back, but I couldn't get in touch with her.
Oh yeah, real Maho hours.
Maho in a tub with huge amounts of hair. Maho was sinking into a warm bathtub. She could finally feel blood flowing through her body again. The heat melted the tension away from her muscles. Her injured hand hurt a little, but it wasn't unbearable. She felt like she had come back to life. Once the sun had set, Maho and Rintaro had gone to Ferris, the cat-eared maid at May Queen Non Squared, for help. Ferris's home was at the top of a high-rise condo building on prime Akihabara real estate. From a security perspective, it was superior to the future gadget lab in every way imaginable. Ferris welcomed the two of them, offering them food and a place to sleep. And now she'd even offered them a bath. Maho was a little worried about Rintaro Hashida. He'd insisted on staying to wait for his younger sister Suzuha, and remained alone at the future gadget lab. I thought they told her about Suzuha.
I guess they didn't say, by the way, he's her dad.
Maybe, yeah. More than an hour had passed since then. Had Rintaro heard anything? And even if they'd moved, that didn't mean this place was safe. The group from this afternoon could attack at any time. She couldn't help but feel nervous. And that made her feel terrified and vulnerable as she sat naked in the bath. She got out of the bathtub and hurried to the changing room to wipe herself down. She tried to put on the change of underwear Ferris had given her. And her hands started to shake. Then her knees buckled and she fell to the ground. This is extreme
muscle relaxation after a period of elevated tension and then sudden release.
She tried to stay calm by analyzing herself, but that didn't mean she could do anything but lie down.
This is bad.
Alarm bells were going off in her head. She'd just about given up, knowing that it would pass with time, when Ferris popped her head in.
Maho Nyan, how's the water? Nyan?
Ferris screamed and started to panic when she saw Maho naked and lying on the floor.
Oh no, Nya! She's going to die! Maho Nyan's going to die! No, I'm fine.
Maho's voice was so weak that Ferris didn't even hear her.
Oh, I need to get her to the bed.
Ferris tried to pick up the naked Maho and then slipped and dropped her.
Ow. Yeah.
Maho hit the back of her head on the floor. She saw little stars dancing across her field of vision.
Nya, I'm so sorry, Nyan.
Sprawling naked on the floor, face up, Maho tried to force herself to stand, but her arms were too weak.
Listen, this will pass soon. Just leave me be.
But Ferris wasn't listening. For some reason, she decided to reach around Maho from behind and try to drag her up. And then Rintaro must have heard Ferris's scream because he ran in. Well, what's wrong, Ferris?
Ah!
Oh, we had to get one of these scenes in, did we? All right, shall we just get this over with, everyone? Was this in the contract? I thought I put a rider that said I didn't want to be involved in any of these anymore.
Yeah. Why is SK voicing every single person in the scene? Why? I get that it might have been a bad decision to have SK voice both me and Okabe, but you know what? No one was going to take Maho away from SK, so that's just how it is.
She wanted to scream, but all that came out was a tiny whimper. I'm really sorry. I do mean it. Rintaro lowered his head and deeply towards Maho as she lay on the bed.
You don't need to apologize. It was an accident, I know.
But she still couldn't bear to look him in the face. Just remembering the despair and embarrassment she'd felt when he saw her naked body made her want to bury her head in a pillow and flail her legs back and forth. To make matters worse, she still hadn't been able to stand up after all that, and Rintaro had been forced to carry her to the bed. She'd never been touched by a boy before, and so it was only today she realized how rugged male arms were. Being carried was extremely uncomfortable, to the point where she'd squirmed around and almost slipped out of his arms. She had no choice but to curl herself up into a ball and let Rintaro do whatever he wanted with her, which made her feel very strange. And now she couldn't even bear to look at his face.
On the plus side, pretty sure I'm a lesbian.
What?
No, it's not you. It's literally, it's not you. It's although I do thank you for the clarity.
I'm not sure what just happened, but all right.
Fanya, it was my fault for panicking like that.
Ferris was sitting next to Rintaro, feet under her knees with her shoulders slumped.
No, it's fine. I'm sorry for scaring you, in fact.
Are you sure you're all right? You don't need to go to a hospital?
Oh, the tension just caught up with me, that's all. Must have really worried you. I'm so embarrassed.
There's nothing to be embarrassed about. Anyone would be scared after what happened today. Anyone would feel sick.
Even you?
Yeah.
I see. Get some rest for now, Nya. You can think about what happened when you're and what you're gonna do next after you're feeling better. That's right. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Do you need pajamas, Nya? I've got some that are just your size. Already picked out. Why are they panda? Never mind. Thank you.
Maho closed her eyes. The lights went out and Rintaro and Ferris left the room. She lay on the bed and tried not to think about anything. She could hear the pounding of her heart. It would get louder and then softer. The rhythm was very strange. And she could hear a kind of static noise mixed in with her heartbeat, like a broken TV. Was it exhaustion-induced tinnitus? Whatever it was, once she noticed it, she couldn't sleep.
Now think of it. Okabe said he was taking some tranquilizers, right?
She wasn't supposed to do this, but if she looked at their ingredients, she could tell what medications had what effect. Should she take a look and have him lend her some? If that wasn't possible, she could at least get some over-the-counter antihistamines and use that as a sleep aid. She turned over.
Don't yell. Do what I tell you. Otherwise, you're dead.
Oh, fuck. That was a mental oh, fuck.
Suddenly, she heard a voice break through the unpleasant noise. She gulped and leapt out of bed. Terror-stricken Maho tried to crawl to the door, but her legs wouldn't move like she wanted to. She couldn't stand up. The voice in her ears followed her wherever she went. It was like a wild animal toying with its prey. All of the hairs on her body were standing up on end. Her jaw was chattering so hard she bit her tongue. She desperately crawled across the carpet and toward the door.
Do I have to kill one of you?
Stop! Stop! No! No!
Hyajo, wake up!
She woke up to find herself being violently shaken by the shoulders.
This is how it helps, right? She looked around the room, panting.
She was in bed, and Rintaro was looking down at her. Her whole body was sweaty, and she felt sick. There was a burning sensation deep in her stomach.
What's wrong?
Someone's here.
Rintaro looked around. Ferris came a moment later, as well as the older man who was her butler. But they were simply standing at the entrance of the room, concerned.
I'm sure it was just a bad dream, Maho.
The antique clock on the shelf said that at some point it had gotten past 1 a.m. She must have slept for hours without realizing it.
Yeah. You're right. I guess it was just a dream.
She took a painful breath and wiped the sweat off her forehead without realizing that she sounded just like a little child. She sent Ferris and the butler back to their rooms. Rintaro brought her a towel from the washroom.
You're really sweating. You should wipe yourself down.
She did as he said and wiped the beads of sweat off her face, chest, and limbs. She was deciding whether or not to wipe the inside of her pajamas. Rintaro took the hint and turned around.
I'm going back to my room. Call me at any time if you need something.
Huh? What's up?
How's Hashida?
Oh, I just got word. He's met up with Suzuha.
I see.
Good night.
Rintaro was about to leave her bedside, but Maho, and she couldn't believe she was doing this, reached out and grabbed the hem of his shirt without thinking.
Wait,
What's up?
please. It doesn't have to be for long. Just stay here.
Hyajo,
Please don't leave me alone.
You're not alone. I'm under the bed.
They never did check under the bed, did they? They never did check? Unless it's one of those like hotel beds that have like the board that prevent you from getting underneath it. Maho was surprised by the words she was saying, but the thought of spending this terrible night all by herself was too much for her. Rintaro must have understood how she felt because he nodded without smiling.
All right. I'll stay with you until you fall asleep.
Thank you. Sorry to ask you to do this.
No, it's fine. I had a hell of a time getting to sleep myself. I'll turn around, so at least wipe off the sweat, all right?
All right.
While Rintaro stared back at the door, she took off her pajamas and wiped off the thick layer of sweat that covered her whole body. She tried to put her pajamas on again, but they were too drenched for her to want to wear them. She had no choice but to dive back under the covers in nothing but her underwear and bring the comforter way above her chest.
It's okay now.
Amidst the dim glow of the nightlight, Rintaro brought a chair to the side of the bed and sat down.
I'll be watching over you right here. You don't need to worry about a thing. You know that you'll be safe, right? Are you worried?
No, I'm fine.
Maho's face felt hot from some feeling that she didn't understand. She sank deeper under the blanket and turned away from Rintaro. She softly closed her eyes. She could feel his presence behind her. The two of them stopped talking, and the only noise was the distant sounds of the night coming from beyond the curtain. Get her like a Blahai or something. Girl needs something to hug. How long did they spend like that? Just as she was about to fall into a light sleep, she heard a soft voice in her ears. Hyajo, are you still awake?
Huh? Yeah.
She felt herself waking up again. She opened her eyes and turned back toward Rintaro, only to see him staring toward the window. It was as if he was trying to see some sight that lay beyond it. His profile is so handsome. For some reason, that was the thought that came to her.
What's wrong?
Rintaro seemed unwilling to talk, so Maho decided to speak first. He swallowed loudly. I really meant to tell you this a lot sooner, but I didn't have the courage. I'm sorry.
What are you talking about?
There's one thing that...
One thing?
There's one thing that I haven't told you.
All right.
Maho leaned forward, not caring that he might see her chest. I told you about the other world line, and the Kurisu I met there, about the time machine and the time leaps,
Yeah.
about Kurisu and her father.
Yeah.
There's actually one more thing I should have told you. But I just couldn't. His head was slumping forward in the chair. Maho waited silently for his next words. Despite the late hour, she heard a helicopter in the distance. For some reason, it sounded really loud. She hadn't seen the news, but it was possible the media was still talking about the gun battle that had taken place this afternoon. This was something I needed to tell you, and you alone. When he finally spoke, his expression was unlike any look she'd ever seen on his face before. It was pained, sad, and suffering, like someone at the bottom of a deep, dark place. And yet there was something in his eyes that hinted at incredible self-hatred and rage.
Okabe?
Suddenly, her chest felt like it was about to burst from pain. She didn't know where the pain was coming from, but she wanted Rintaro to stop looking like that. That day, at the radio building, the one who killed Kurisu was... His hands were forming some kind of shape, like he was holding an invisible knife. The one who killed Kurisu was...
Enough!
She screamed, unable to take it anymore. She rolled out of bed, forgetting how she was dressed, and covered Rintaro's hands with her own.
That's enough! Enough! You don't need to say anymore. I believe you. So you don't need to tell me. Someday, when the time comes, I am going to make you tell me whether you want to or not. But that time isn't now. Until that time comes, keep your goddamn mouth shut.
She strengthened her grip and forced him to let go of the invisible knife. Rintaro nodded without saying another word. They simply stared at each other for a while. Maho couldn't look away from his gaze. It was as if he was clinging to something or wandering in search of salvation.
Achoo.
She sneezed. You're going to catch a cold like that, you know.
Interrobang?
And it was only then that she realized she was holding Rintaro's hands while wearing next to nothing. Rintaro looked a little embarrassed.
I'm sorry.
She quickly jumped back in the blankets. She curled up into a ball and tore at her hair, screaming inside her mind. She let a boy see her naked not once but twice. And Okabe's just like, this doesn't seem like the time for me to be weird about that, so I'm just going to be, a kind friend.
this time, I'm going to bed for realsies.
I'm sorry for bothering you.
You're not bothering me at all. And I mean this sincerely. Never bring that up again, alright? Alright?
Yeah. Thank you, Hyajo.
You haven't done anything that you should thank me for. Anyway, good night.
Good night. The room got quiet again. The adrenaline rush kept Maho awake. After a while, she heard snores coming from Rintaro's direction. Evidently, he'd fallen asleep. Must have been tired. He went through the same attack that Maho had. Of course he was. His breathing wasn't peaceful at all. It was pained. He may have been in the grip of some terrible nightmare. Maho hesitated several times, but she turned over and stretched out her hand from the blankets, softly touched the backside of his hand. She felt its warmth on her fingertips.
What did Kurisu call you? I wonder. Okabe? Or was it Rintaro? Maybe.
She didn't know, but it didn't much matter. Mostly, I believe it was idiot.
Hang in there, Rintaro Okabe. Is the man I fell in love with really that weak?
Hey, we're still positive about the Okabe and Maho ship here as well.
Falling in contact love by virtue of the object of her affection being dead and this being the person who was closest to that object of affection.
Right? It's more like I am Maho is going through a lot of serious traumatic feelings right now, and like, okay, this seems like the best way to go about this.
Yeah.
She tried to think about how Kurisu would say those words, and eventually, Rintaro's breathing started to become more peaceful. Relieved, she let go, and then she changed her mind and grabbed the hem of his shirt again. Felt embarrassed as if she was a little kid, but at the same time, she felt like now she might not have any more nightmares. That's not, like, an embarrassing thing to do. Like, sleeping while you're hugging something or have something, like, next to you, right? Like, that does help.
It does.
It's not. It's weird that we as a society are like, you should grow out of that unless you get a spouse, right? We here at 8PR are all about having a stuffed animal to hug, or a hug pillow. We have a hug pillow.
We do.
We do have a hug pillow, like, because sometimes Vivian has to go on like business trips and places, and you know what I do? I hug the hug pillow, and I feel better. That night, for the first time in a very long while, she dreamed of a smiling Kurisu. Gay. Gay. Homosexual. Gay. Maho and I stayed at Ferris's house for several days after that. Now that Kurisu's computer was destroyed, the odds anyone would come after us had gone way down, but there was still a chance. Just to be extra careful, I stayed away from the lab.
Maho, Lintalo.
Dr. Leskinen looked a little thinner since the last time I'd seen him.
Professor, I'm so glad you're safe.
You too, Maho. Sounds like you had a rough time.
Dr. Leskinen held Maho tightly in his huge arms. The difference in size between them was so great that Maho looked like some kind of stuffed animal.
I feel like our sprites don't really do justice to how much taller than you are. Sentences are hard. Can this episode be over yet? Professor, that hurts. You're hurting me.
Dr. Leskinen and Maho were leaving the country in the afternoon on a weekday, so I was the only one who could see them off. Since I'd been with Maho the whole time, instead of only seeing them off, I'd actually just brought her there. Maho, after all, was the kind of person who was incapable of getting to an airport on her own. It's amazed she'd survived this long, given her lack of basic skills. We'd held Maho's goodbye party last night at Ferris's house. Ferris was there, and so were Mayuri and Daru, and all the others from the Christmas party. All were sad to see her go.
Lintalo, thanks for staying with Maho. You've really been a great help.
Oh, not at all.
So, when can you come to my lab?
Uh-huh. He wasn't kidding about that, huh? I'll study hard so I can go as soon as possible. Can I contact you once I'm ready?
Of course, I'll be waiting.
He smiled as he took my hand and shook it. I was really glad to hear it. After meeting Amadeus, my desire to go to Victorchondria had only increased.
Let me say thank you, Okabe. Really. If it weren't for you, I might not even be alive right now.
You're surely exaggerating.
No, I mean it. I really am grateful. I'll be waiting for you too. So do your best, alright?
Yeah. You too. Good luck with your research.
So, Lintalo, as we discussed previously, I'm going to be revoking your access rights for Amadeus today. That's fine, right?
Yes, that's fine. Evidently, they couldn't leave me with access to Amadeus after they left the country. I was only supposed to test her during their stay here anyway.
Want to say a final goodbye to Kurisu?
Yeah, you're right. Could I say something to her quickly?
Of course.
I tapped the icon for Amadeus.
What? Do I get a goodbye too?
Kurisu was expressionless for some reason. I guess so. Do you not need one?
You said goodbye to Maho before me, right?
He did. Don't worry.
Maho interjected before I could speak.
I hope so.
Shipper on deck, Amadeus. Kurisu was inside my screen.
I'm in your phone. I'm in your phone, messing up all your photo library.
No, not my photo library. I had all my memes organized. Was it a good thing I'd spoken to her like this? Or a bad thing? In the end, I knew I needed to forget about Kurisu Makise, but I couldn't. I couldn't escape from this curse. Once I lose access rights, we won't be able to see each other anymore, will we?
Well, I am slightly grateful that you gave me someone to talk to. There's a chance you're coming to Dr. Leskinen's lab, right? I'll make sure to remember you until we meet again.
Oh, you're such a tsundere.
Tsundere, what's that? Don't use words I don't understand.
Blushing. Visibly blushing. Don't use words I don't understand.
They programmed her to be bad at lying and to be able to blush and give away what she actually thinks.
Then why is your face red?
She's blushing.
Kurisu is just very shy.
Geez, not you too, Professor.
Stay healthy. Probably isn't the right thing to say. You don't get sick after all, now do you? Just don't tease Hyajo too much, alright?
Right. You don't need to tell me. I already know.
I hope so.
I hope someday your smile doesn't look so sad. I hope someday you can smile for real.
Well, I just got hard read by an AI. Guess even an AI could see right through me.
That's like the scene earlier when Maho was like, he had a look I'd never seen on his face before. He looked so tormented and horrible and sad, and it's just like, have you looked at Okabe?
Right?
90% of the time, that is what he looks like.
I guess, yeah. Although, for her, she's never seen different Okabe.
Kurisu Makise really was one hell of a woman.
Bye.
Yeah. Kurisu disappeared from my screen. I turned to Dr. Leskinen and nodded, deleting the Amadeus icon from my screen.
We'll handle the paperwork for the access revocation on our own later.
But doesn't delete Kurisu from my mic stand. Did I tell everyone I have a Kurisu plushie on my mic stand?
I don't recall if you did or didn't.
Yeah, I've got a Kurisu plushie on my mic stand. Just kind of hanging there.
Thanks for your help with the testing. We got some really valuable data.
No, thank you. I bowed deeply to both Maho and Dr. Leskinen. And as I watched their plane take off into the distance, I noticed that it felt like there was a hole in my heart. I clutched my phone tightly. Its connection to Amadeus was gone. Hey, presage or recognize. And this is the final main route before the true end route.
I see.
Yeah! Oh, I love it. So actually, since this is just the we're like what, an hour 15?
Yeah.
So it's a little short, but you know what? Since this is like officially the start of a new route right here, let's call the sode right here.
Let's do
and
it.
Next time we can have like a clean start at the beginning of the route. All right, and then we'll get to see Mayuri adopt Kakari. Oh, that's so nice. I can't wait. Don't you want to see Vivian talking to herself for a whole episode?
Yeah.
I know I do. Bye, everyone.
Peace.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.